Hello, and welcome to a brief chapter of history. Beer had a hand in the discovery of the New World. In 1620, the Mayflower landed at Plymouth Rock. The ship's log explained the decision to land was because of the dwindling supplies, especially our beer. The brew had an important role in the past. It has been used in religious rites as payment for work and was drunk by European monks to maintain their fast. The word beer comes from the Latin word bibere, meaning to drink. Beer is made from water, yeast, hops, and melted grains, typically barley. Its alcoholic content comes from the process of fermentation, which converts the simple sugars, carbohydrates, in the grains into alcohol. People around the world consume more than 100 billion liters of beer annually. The oldest proven records of brewing date back 6,000 years ago to the Middle East. Archaeologists uncovered a seal from the Sumerian peoples who lived between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The seal is dedicated to the goddess of brewing and contains a recipe for making beer. There is a pictograph of bread being baked, crumbled into water to form a mash and then made into a drink that is recorded to have led people feeling wonderful and blissful. By the second millennium before Christ, the Babylonians knew how to brew 20 different types of beer. At the time, beer was cloudy and unfiltered. People drank it through straws. Hammurabi, a Babylonian king, decreed a daily beer ration. A worker could receive 2 liters, civil servants 3 liters, and high priest 5 liters per day. The Egyptians continued the tradition and used unbaked bread, dough for making beer, and added dates to improve the taste. Greeks and Romans also brewed beer, but it was considered a drink of the barbarians. By this time, wine had made an entry. The ancient Germans were also brewing this stuff by the year 800, using barley or wheat. Like many of the cultures of the time, the Teutons thought beer contained a spirit which possessed the drinker. Beer was reserved for the masses and wine for the gods. Beer was important to nomadic groups because water was often dangerous and they were often paid with jugs of beer. During this time, beer was also thought to reduce disease and prolong a person's life. Until the Middle Ages, brewing was exclusively the domain of women because they were in charge of baking the bread too.
Monasteries started muscling in on this work. Monks in Northern Europe wanted to make beer as a pleasant tasting, nutritious drink to serve with their meals and to help them through fasting periods. Since drinking is allowed during a fast, beer was permitted. Some monks were allowed to drink as much as 5 liters a day. The monks refined the brewing process and started to make more beer. Soon, monastery pubs sprouted, charging a fee for their high-quality beer. The monks were the first to scientifically develop the brewing process. Hops became widely used as a way to make beer refreshing and also as a natural preservative.
Hops are the corn-like flowers of a climbing plant, Humulus lupulus, giving beer its bitter flavor. The monasteries started to provide low-strength, everyday beer and higher alcohol beers for special occasions. In England, a bride's ale would be brewed for the wedding by her family. Bride's ale gave away to the world bridal. Around the 12th century, brewing in much of Europe became the responsibility of a commercial enterprise, given permission under a royal license. Rulers started collecting taxes from the sale of beer and the monastery pubs started to close down. Around this time, brewers started throwing other ingredients into the process. Juniper berries, blackthorn, aniseed, bay leaves, rosemary oak bark, caraway seed, St. John's wort, and pine roots. The advent of beer, as we know, it came in 1516 when the Duke of Bavaria Wilhelm IV proclaimed the German beer purity law. For the first time, a law established that only barley, hops, and pure water were to be used to make beer. The law remained in effect until 1988, when European Union rules came into effect. In Germany, the distribution and export of beer increased to the point where many of its brewers supplied other countries. By the 15th, there were 600 breweries in Hamburg alone. At the beginning of the 19th century, with the start of the Industrial Revolution, beer production reached new heights due to two inventions: the steam engine and the process of artificial cooling. Because good beer requires certain temperatures, artificial cooling allowed brewing to become a year-round activity. Scientists undertook research on brewing during this time. Louis Pasteur published studies concerning beer in 1876. Pasteur unveiled the secrets of yeast in fermentation and developed pasteurization. Danish scientist Christian Hansen isolated a single yeast cell and caused it to reproduce on an artificial culture medium. Because of this, the purity of the fermenting process was improved and the beer taste kept consistent. American brewers introduced the beer can in 1935. The next major step in beer history occurred when metal kegs were introduced in Germany in 1964, replacing wooden barrels. Cleaning and filling was much simpler than so was taping and closing off.